Hi everybody, Jonathan Gorman from iCreative, and this morning we are going to talk about iPad OS, SplitView, and SlideOver. Now this is one of the features, or these are two of the features that kind of separate the iPad OS from the version of iOS that runs on your iPhone. And this is something that you may have actually encountered at first by accident. So I wanted to kind of take a minute to demystify and show you the value of this feature to see if these are things that might help you in your day-to-day navigation of your iPad. So number one, I want to talk first about the dock at the bottom of the iPad. There's a setting that I think you may or may not like. If you go into settings and you click on the home screen and dock, there is a checkbox at the very bottom, shows suggested and recent apps in dock. If that is on, which it is by default, you're going to notice that if you launch something and then quit it, it's now going to have showtime in the bottom right of the dock, and things that you've opened recently are going to kind of start to get added to that area of the dock to the right of that little thin line. I'm not a fan of this at all. I would actually rather have the dock for all of the apps that I really do use most often, which is also the case on my Mac. So what I'm going to do is go back into settings, go back to home screen and dock, and turn that off so that I can really enjoy the dock going from left and right. Many of you may not have known that that's an option. It's just a little quick tip that I want to give you. Now, about the dock, the first thing that we want to talk about today in relation to the dock is this concept of split view. So the first thing I'm going to do is tap on Safari and get Safari open. Let's just go to like maybe a news site, bbc.com. And so once I have Safari in full screen mode, I am going to swipe up from the bottom to reveal the dock. And then what I'm going to do is tap and hold on the mail icon. And despite the fact that it gives me that little pop-up menu, not to worry, just pull it out over all the way over to the edge, and you're going to see that Safari, there's an icon for that screen, and there's a little one for mail. And if I let go right now, it actually kicks the Safari window into half screen and mail into half the screen. This is a really nice thing if you just want to toggle back and forth or just really have two apps open at the same time. I can also use the little gray bar between these two windows to change the relationship of the apps. If I wanted one to be bigger or smaller, I can do that. And that's kind of cool. But if I was to do a new email message, and I'm just going to address this to myself. And many of you know I'm a big fan of nature and I love grizzly bears. So I wanted to send a friend a cool picture of a grizzly bear. So I'm going to tap once at the address bar of Safari. It lights up. It's ready for me when it's blue like this at the top. You don't even have to bother hitting the delete button or anything. If it's blue and highlighted, you can just start typing. Now, you may have also attended one of my classes where I've revealed that this address bar at the top is a place that has two functions. You can put in a web address like www.yahoo.com, but you can also use it to do Google searches. So I'm just going to do a Google search for grizzly bear and hit go. It's going to bring me to the Google search results for that. And at the top of the page, just under the little grizzly bear oval, you'll see there's the word images, and now I'm going to do a Google search just for grizzly bear images. Let's go find a cool picture of a grizzly bear. This one's pretty great right here. This guy on the log, he's just having a moment. So I'm going to tap and hold on that and literally just drag it right over into mail and let go. Attaching an image from the web to a new email message is just that easy using this feature. It's very powerful. So I'm going to click on the send button and away we go. And if I go back to all inboxes and I tap on that message, this is what the recipient would have, this is what would have shown up in the person's inbox. So that's really cool. If I want to get rid of the mail and just focus back on Safari only, I can just grab and pull that gray bar over, and it goes away. If I want to get out of Safari, I can swipe up from the bottom and quit some apps. This is my little multi-mode, multitasking screen, also known as the app switcher. And I can just swipe up from the bottom and just go back to my home screen. So that's SplitView. It's kind of an interesting thing. You can do it with any number of apps. The trick will be, however, to put the apps that you think you're going to use in SplitView into the dock, because the dock is kind of how this all works. And what I mean by that is once I've opened something, again, in Safari, if I just go to the Apple website, and then I swipe up from the bottom, I can actually take any of these apps and drag them out of the dock and make them a split view opportunity. I can't do this with all these other guys that are on the home page. So that's just something to consider when dealing and learning how to use split view. Now, the other side of this is something called slide over. It's very similar to how you would interact with it, but it is functioning a little bit differently. I think that many of you will probably end up using split view a little bit more often, but here's how the function works. I'm going to open Safari again, and it's going to take us to the Apple website. I'm going to swipe up from the bottom, and this time when I tap and pull mail up and over, I'm actually not going to drag it all the way over to the edge. I'm going to drag it just inside of the first 30% of the right-hand side, and now I'm just going to let go. When this happens, I actually have a window that hovers over the Safari web browser, and I can use that little gray bar at the top to drag this left and right, and it is literally suspended over the app. And the only thing that's a little bit tough about this, of course, is that you may find yourself constantly kind of, swiping left and right to accommodate where you are on the screen. The other interesting thing about this is that you can also use the bottom bar to swipe through additional apps that you might have open in the sidebar. So now, if I was to drag notes over there and swipe up again, maybe I also wanted to have my calendar, so I'm going to pull the calendar up and over and drop that on top of the sidebar. The interesting thing is that now, underneath the word calendars in the sidebar, that black bar, I can actually use to swipe through the apps that are in the sidebar. So that's really kind of a cool and interesting thing, and you may find some value there if you go in and play around with this a little bit. Once you get comfortable kind of managing the windows, I think you might find some neat applications for these things. And then, of course, if you wanted to get rid of the sidebar, you can just swipe it over to the side. So that gives you kind of a quick overview of these features. If you get in there and play with them, I think you might find some value. Hope this helps, and have a great day.